Hi, YouTube. And TikTok, hello. Hello. Okay, so today's going to be a little bit of a different activities. So I'm basically prepping a whole lot of artdoll parts. So we've got some flying fox claws. We've got some sculpting. We've got a head that I need to clean up and prep. So there's a whole heap of things to do. So I don't normally do resin castings much anymore, but a couple of dolls that I'm making. So I'm making a flying fox as well. So these are the flying fox parts. So I did have the head already cast. I just needed to cast some feet. So they're nice and durable because they're resin. And we just need to clean up all these seam lines. The other one we're cleaning up is the stag. So this one's going to be, I think I'm going to go for a crystal stag. I haven't made a crystal stag before, so I think that's what we're going to go for. No, I don't know where my needle nose pliers are. Looks like somebody's pinched them. Well, that's annoying, isn't it? Doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm just going to try and get this resin out of here. So yeah, I don't often do resin dolls much anymore, but there. Well, that's cool. I don't know how I'm going to get that back in. We'll work it out. There is a whole bunch of resin in there, that's why. Anyway, I'll deal with that later. Hopefully I can get it back on. Don't like the chances of that. Anyway, so we are going to clean up this head. So this head, I have cast some glass eyes inside of it. So it's a nice, kind of like a purple holographic white eye. But I cast them, I need to clean all this up. So that's all the resin that sort of seeped through there. So I need to clean all that up. Is it tricot? No, but I have made tricot before. I have, and I did the same effect with the tricot eyes. Obviously, a little bit more holographic, but I did the same effect. It looked really cool. It's a good character. Tricot. I have 2 eyes left that I used for the tricot. Maybe I'll make another one day. I reckon I could nail that doll. But yeah, I did like the horns that had fallen off. You know how later on the horns are sort of broken. So I'm just cleaning up these seam lines. So you normally have pretty full-on seam lines when you do resin casting as well, just because the way the silicone mold is made. So I like to just trim it up just a little bit, not too overboard, because I'm going to cover this in. The fur is going to attach to that anyway, so I'm not going to go too overboard. But yeah, just clean up the seam lines a little bit. And I've got like a bunch of sculpts that need to be cleaned up. So I sculpted these 2 during the week, and I'm also in the middle of sculpting a Japanese dragon as well. So it's going to start with the inside of the mouth. So yeah, lots of sculpting happening. But I just want to get this flying fox sort of ready to start putting together, because it is going to a flying fox rescue. So I just clean up, and these are just going to be painted, these ones. So I'm just going to patch some little air bubble holes, and then once that's dry I can paint it. So these will just be painted black. So sometimes you get air bubble holes with casts, so just go over and fix it all up. But other than that, these are looking pretty good. So that's a raw pull, so it's got, you know, is this the Australian TikTok flying fox? It is a flying fox, yes, Australian one, yes. So it'll be a grey-headed flying fox. So painted the head up, so that's the resin cast, which I did a really rough paint job. I haven't painted in the eye, like the pupils yet, so it will be a grey-headed flying fox. It'll have a nice rusty coloured neck. So yeah, I've done a fair few of these art dolls before. That's why I have the mold. I've done maybe like 10 of them, 10 of these flying foxes. So yeah, there's been a few, but it's, because I'm not covering this in faux fur, I'll have to clean it up so it's nice and neat. So we don't want any seam lines. And then I'm going to be attaching these horns as well to the head. Don't know if I'll do that today, but I'll definitely clean that head up. I don't particularly like working with resin anymore. It's just messy and expensive and all that stuff. But yeah, I just like sculpting things these days. But this is a lot of cleaning to do. Gets all over your hands. I hate wearing gloves. I never wear gloves. Hey, Reagan on Art. Does the blade help better than a rotary? Yeah, I can't be bothered. I don't like making dust, you know what I mean? So if I get the Dremel out and, you know, smooth it out, dust, you know. So I don't want to have to wear a mask either, because you need a whole respirator, proper respirator mask, and I can't be bothered putting that on. I need a new one anyway, because the straps have seen better days. But if I was to do, like, you know, I've done a couple of resin masks before, so if I was to do something like that, I'd give it a proper clean mood. So, and because this is only really, you know, small seam lines, they're not that bad. So I can just go and, you know, give it a bit of a clean up with what's left of my blade. I have a proper blade, but it's not in this room. And for some reason, I still keep going back to this nub. Still cuts, doesn't it? Okay. So, yeah, obviously the resin's a bit more durable than sculpting things out of clay, because, you know, clay does break. It's inevitable. It does happen sometimes, especially if you just launch it on the ground. So that's kind of why I started using the resin, because it's a lot more durable than clay, and, you know, I could reproduce the same thing multiple times, but I just felt like I was missing out on sculpting things. You know, mold making sometimes does my head in as well. You're working on an art doll for your sister. You've got a lot of stress line. Are you making it out of clay? Or did you do a resin cast? A giant fissure. Yeah. Oh, you got it. Yay! I hope it arrived there safely. You're making it out of Sculpey. Was your oven too hot, maybe? I'm so glad it got there. I tried to wrap the head. Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear. I thought when I first saw the hammerhead bat, I was like, oh, that's such a weird looking animal. I need to make it. That's cool. Okay. Sometimes if your temperature's not quite right with the Sculpey, it can crack. Maybe your oven was just a bit too hot. All right. So this is my deer. These are usually really big dolls. This one. I suppose it's not really much of a too big a doll, but to get all the seam lines off. Is that posted on your TikTok page? Oh. Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, so don't think I have to worry about these little bubbles in there. So I'm just going to clean up the eyes here. Let's reveal. So I'm just using a blade to sort of just chip off this extra resin that's gone when I cast the glass eyes inside. It's like an extra little bit of resin in there that seeps through when I put them in. That's fine, I just clean it up. Not that hard. You had Sculpey Primo, and Sculpey 3 using harder Sculpey. Maybe you didn't, did you? Maybe it wasn't conditioned properly. Sometimes that can happen too, because obviously not conditioned clay is quite crumbly. Maybe it wasn't conditioned enough. You baked hotter. Yeah, I normally bake. I usually bake at 100 degrees. So I think they want like 120 or something. I've got a box here. Let's have a look. So they want like 130. So I normally put it on 100. I mean, I probably should just do 130, but yeah, I tend not to bake too hot. I don't know what Fahrenheit is. Just Google. I'm not sure what doesn't have Fahrenheit on here. 275 Fahrenheit. 275. Sorry, I don't know what Fahrenheit temperatures are. We never got taught that. 275. So I don't know what's 100. It must be something like 250, I guess. A little bit cooler. How about that? All right. You can't quite capture. There's like a purple metallic hue over the top of it. Can't quite get it on camera. It just looks white. But there is, it's like a purpley green sort of harlequin color. And let's clean this eye up too. So these deers were sort of always meant to be fantasy sculpted type deers, as opposed to a realistic one. So you see it, that's cool. Yeah, I just used some paint for this one. So, and I still need to do my eye tutorial. I haven't gotten around to it. I bought a little microphone so I could talk while I'm sculpting and it won't sound crappy on just a regular phone microphone. It's like a little microphone and it came the other day. Thank you for the follow. Thank y'all. So yeah, I'm supposed to do like a little eye video. Maybe I'll do 2 types of eye videos. Just like little, one with tutorial and one was just like a little info video. So, okay, this is looking good. Let's get this off here. Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks for the gift. All right. So yeah, these eyes are glass. So they look a bit more realistic. There we go. So I haven't quite decided on a colour for this one yet. I think I'm crystal stag, so we have to go crystal colours. What art doll will that be? So yeah, I was sort of tossing up between an ice stag or a crystal stag. So I got these, let's get rid of these little scrap bits here. We don't want resin scrap bit. So I've got these antlers. Oh, what is it made of? This one's actually resin. I don't normally use resin anymore, but this one's resin. Hang on, let's open it so it's not so loud. If I can get it out. Ta-da! All right, so I've got these antlers. So I normally use white antlers, but I think they're really cool, like crystal ice kind of looking antlers. They're plastic. They're not made by me, so I used to make my antlers, but because they're so thin, they're not very durable, and I sort of try to compromise between having durable bits. So I opted for these ones, plastic antlers. So I originally sculpted a head out of monster clay, which I molded in silicon and then cast in resin. So this was always meant to be like a fantasy type one. So the antlers sort of fit in here. So I'll have to, with these ones, they're a little bit different, but I will use probably epoxy sculpt to attach the antlers, and they sort of will end up like so. Normally I use epoxy sculpt, but I'm going to be using artdoll, I think it's called. It's like a 2-part epoxy, so that'll be the crystal stag. I did also think about putting LEDs in there, but I think that's overkill. I think it's too much of a problem to do. So yeah, it's going to look like that. Little crystal stag, I think crystal. And I could make like little, I've got molds, so I could make like little clear crystals. I got like crystal molds. You like the idea of a hoarfrost deer? Is that something from a movie? A hoarfrost? I feel like I've heard that before, but I think it looks cool. I'm getting crystal vibes from that one. So crystal, I don't know, white maybe. But I haven't found my mold for the hooves, so I made a mold with hooves as well. And I don't know where it is. I went through my box of molds yesterday and I found these 2 that I needed, but I couldn't find the hooves, so I'll have to have a dig around again and find the hooves. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do is just sort of flatten this out here with some epoxy sculpt so I can sit it on properly, and then attach it with the artdoll. But yeah, I think it's going to look pretty good. So artdoll. I'm just going to do a couple of little things. Maybe I should get my line in here. Hey, get a line as a little buddy. You put a little buddy in here. There's a little line. There we go. Have a little buddy in here, just in the corner. It looks incredible. Oh, thanks. So I got some epoxy sculpt. So yeah, got a few things to do. It's a lot of just like prep work happening. The 2 sculpts that I've done, I need to refine them, so I haven't quite done that. So I sort of got the bulk of it done yesterday, and then I can refine it a little bit. Did you make the hands yourself? These ones, the flying fox ones? Yeah, so I sculpted this in monster clay. Then I made a mold of it out of silicon, and then I cast them in resin. So they're kind of like plastic now. But let's get some gloves on. Because when you're working with epoxy sculpt, you wear gloves. But yeah, I generally make everything myself. The only thing that I did compromise on not making were the antlers because I want them durable. And they're normally white, and they release them in this color. So I was like, yes. You can get black ones too, but you can get brown as well. But I would never use that color. So, and you can paint them. So I just sort of prep it and then paint it. I prep it in like a poster, like a canvas primer. So the paint has something to stick to. But what I'm going to do is flatten this out with some epoxy sculpt, make sure these can sit flush. And when you're placing these, they've got a particular direction. So you want these little spikes to be at the front. So if you put it that way, it's kind of the wrong way. But yes, like that. So I'm going to make sure they're nice and flush. And then, yeah, I'll probably refine. I'm making another medieval cat. So that's the next one. Part of the story. If you haven't seen the stop motion, that's the next part of the medieval cat story. Thank you for the follow. And so I'm only going to do, I think I'm only going to do one medieval cat this time. And I'll keep sort of adding to the story as I go. I think that'll be good. Ah! I hate that feeling. And your gloves, ugh. Ugh. The gloves don't fit in properly. Oh my God, I just, it's so awful. Anyway, so I try and reuse the same gloves all the time, so I'm not wasting gloves. Less wastage. All right, so I'm going to use some epoxy sculpt, and I'm just going to fill in a couple of air bubbles and stuff as well. So this is a 2-part epoxy. I don't need much of this, so and it's crew. Thanks for all the likes. So basically, you get part A and part B, and you want them the same size. You've got, I know these ones are this size small and they're just a little bit too small, so they're hard to get on. That's fine. I don't even know where they came from. Just got a box of them. I don't have the smallest hands, but I don't have the biggest hands either. I've just got regular. I've got a good spread though. A good spread. All right. So I like to sort of square it out so I can see. I think there's a little bit too much on this side. Pinch it off. Okay. And epoxy sculpt is, yeah, it's a 2-part epoxy that you mix together, obviously. And it usually dries overnight. And you can smooth it out with water, so that's really handy. So I just add a little bit of water. The more you sort of use, it starts to go a bit dry as well. So I try not to have it sitting around for too long, but I go through a lot of it anyway. You can get smaller pots, but I use quite a lot of it. So I just buy the bigger pots. And I normally get white because it's easier to paint over. But they only had grey this time, which I'm not a huge fan of the grey. But you just want to mix it all together until you sort of stop seeing the marbling. So that's also why I like to use the white, because you can see the marbling a bit better. You can get other colours like black, grey, browns, all that sort of stuff. But, you know, I could only find the grey this time. So normally I attach the antlers with the epoxy sculpt too, but because they're clear, I don't want to use that. So I'm going to have to make a flat surface and use the arrowdite to attach it, because the arrowdite is clear. Super glue doesn't really work that well on resins, so it'll be fine for the antlers. It may even melt it. So thanks for the follow. All right, let's just do, so I'm just going to fill in some little air bubbles with the hands, and then that'll be left overnight to dry. So just some little air bubbles. I hate these gloves because the tip of my finger doesn't go all the way in the end. and it leaves a little saggy end. So just use a bit of water to smooth it out. This is also why I stopped doing resin things as well. I got sick of trying to make air bubbleless things. But it's just like super expensive. So expensive, especially the silicone. The silicone's a killer. It typically does like melting stuff. What am I making? I'm just filling in some air bubbles for some flying fox claws, feet. So that's the head. I haven't done resin dolls in a while, so I'm working on a couple of things here. I've got the crystal stag that I also did a resin cast in, so I've got the antlers to add. I've got okami here that needs to be sort of refined a bit more, and a new medieval cat. So I did a little bit of sculpting during the week to get like a basic head done, and then just sort of refine it a bit on the live. So yeah, so we're not just watching sculpting, and I can just, record it and whatnot. But yeah, the super glue I use is Loctite, which is fine. Just got a little hard to get out of the bottle sometimes. I haven't really had many problems. Normally I use artdoll, which is another epoxy. And that attaches pretty good. It's obviously a 2-part. You're planning on painting a flying fox. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, this one's going to be for a flying fox rescue. I'm going to use it in their educational programs. So I've got another head, so I might make 2 of them. I don't know just yet. Maybe I'll keep that one for Halloween, like a Halloween doll as well. That's obviously coming up. So, but I'll probably just keep it for Halloween, actually. I wanted to make a flying fox. A different type of bat for Halloween, because I've got like a little wooden coffin type thing that I wanted to decorate, and I wanted to, like, it opens and whatnot. So I wanted like a little bat in there, but these flying foxes are just like a tiny bit too big for it, so I'll have to like make one specifically for the coffin, unless I can think of another animal to put in there. All right, I think that's... So I'm just trying to be a bit more pedantic about the holes and stuff in this, because it's not going to be covered in fur. They're going to be painted, so just, trying to fill any little air bubbles that I can see. Usually the paint does a good job as well, but, when you're casting things, they are going to be air bubbles. Thank you for the follow. How much do you sell ones? The flying foxes, or just in general? The flying foxes, the resin ones are generally cheaper because they're a little bit less time consuming. So I think they were like $4.80 US. That'd be like 7 something, I think, Australian dollars if you're Australian. So yeah, they're a little bit cheaper. It's just the wings are obviously a little bit more time consuming. But yeah, I've made a fair few of them before. Sometimes they sell good, sometimes they don't. All right, so I'm just going to make a bit of a flat surface here as well. So we have some, like, a surface to put the, what do you call it? What am I trying to say? Oh, you know what I need to make with this extra? So I'm going to make little, in the flying fox, they've got like little bits. So I'm going to make those little bits out of the extra epoxy sculpt, and then they will be strong so they're quite long. So I'm going to cut that off here. And I usually combine the fabric onto this bit. So put a hole in there for the wire. I'll just use some arrowdite for that when the time comes. So I did do a mold out of this, but with like leftover silicone, but I've got leftover epoxy sculpt, so that'll be like the little, like that little nail bit. So I'm just going to put this up here to dry, and I'll do another one. Antler, yes, antler. Got distracted there. All right. Da, da, da. So let's chop this off because it's a little bit long and thick. And as usual, there's always leftover stuff. Okay, stick that in there. And they'll just need to dry overnight to go hard. Okay, and just double check if there's any little air bubble that I can feel. It's a tiny one. Tiny one. And then the leftovers, just leftovers. Just chuck it out. Okay. So let's get our antlers. So that one goes on this side here. Just make sure there's a, might even just try maybe. All right, let's make a little, that's for that one. Just make a little groove for it to sit in. And then this one, go probably here. And then that one, probably like that. Okay. All right, let's take them off. And I'll let that dry, and then tomorrow when it's dry, I will attach these two with the super glue. How long will I be live for? Probably like another 40 minutes. So I've still got a little bit to do. But yeah, probably like another 40 minutes. Otherwise, I'll be on tomorrow. All right, just get my gloves off and leave these to dry. And then let's do, I still need to drill a hole in this and add the armature. That went in the bin anyway. All right, that dry, that's ready for paint. This is dry. All right, so little medieval cat. This was the new one. So if you haven't seen the stop motion, it is the child of Madame Tippy-Toes and Duke of Whiskers. So I did a really rough sculpt. So I've tried to like do a combo of the two and design it in one. So yeah, I got a little bit of work on the eyes. So I've done I went for like the Madame Tippy-Toes head, longer ears, and I'm thinking I'll put a little tongue in there too. So I just want to clean this all up before I add the tongue. So it's nice and smooth. And so to get the eyes right, the eyes looking good. So I'm using a silicone tool, and I've done the little nose out of Super Sculpey, so that's like the beigey color. but yeah, just gonna sort of smooth it out a little bit. So I went for a bit more of a little bit more of an open eye with this one, and I sort of just, it's obviously needs to be refined, so it's a bit rough at the moment. I just sort of sculpted out the head. I haven't even attached the ears properly because I just wanted to sort of hollow it out a little bit more. So just go in with my tool and just hollow it out, give it more of a depth. I do also have to refine the okami as well. So it's turning out a little bit bigger than what I wanted. I wanted it to be this small. And that always happens. I purposely used big eyes so I could do like an elongated eye. But I just made a bigger doll. That's fine. So that's going to be for a part of my personal collection. It's actually going to be Shiranui, not Okami. But if anyone's familiar with the game, why am I scary? Am I that weird? Educational. It's educational. All right. So at this one, I just fully sculpted freehand. I didn't really have any reference images for this one. I just fully sculpted this one freehand. I gave myself the freedom to just roll with it, basically. So I don't often get to do dolls like that these days, or for some reason I choose not to. So not weird. Okay. You used drawings and babies. Drawings and babies. That's an interesting combo. Well, that's good to hear, you know. Just a little different. Let me get my ball tool. I'm just going to sort of round this out a little bit. Yeah, there's not a lot of us around, I have to say. I think there's definitely more than what there used to be, but there's not a lot of us. Thanks for the follow. All right, sorry. Just trying to even that out a little bit. I haven't attached these ears properly, so we have to do that. Otherwise, they can break off. Don't want to do that. I've got 3 size ball tools. No problem. You have a good night too. All right. So these silicone tools are really handy, and I've waited way too long to actually buy some silicone tools. But yeah, super handy. I can't believe I waited this long to get some. I just never did. And now that I have, they're super handy. They sort of get into all the grooves that your finger can't get into. Thanks for all the likes. And they're really good at like smoothing things out, especially on like a round surface. And, you know, getting into these little grooves here, you can sort of get this little tip, pull it up. But yeah, just gonna point these ears a little bit more. When I sculpted this, I was like, oh my God, it looks like Beetle's. You got the baby-sized ones, and what the ones you have? I make art dolls? Yeah. What do you mean the baby-sized ones? Ah, okay. Yeah, I've got those too, except I like this one. I didn't even know where it's ended up. I got like heaps of different sizes. I do make art dolls. I've got these ones. I've got these sized ones as well, so a bit bigger. That one. But I like this one. I like this one. It's got a nice tip on it. So yeah, they're super handy. All right, let me get my other ball tool and just make a little indentation, I guess. in here. Make him a bit more round. Slice it with my fingernail, you know. The lion is so cute. There he is. There's one. He's my big boy lion. So they'll go up next week. There's the two lions. The female and this one here, they'll go up next week. The ones I have ever seen are smaller than you. Yeah, I try to make them small because I like them small, but I always end up with like a tabletop size like this one. This one specifically I tried really hard to make small. So, you know, I like, when I made the eyes, I purposely sized it down to keep it small, and they just ended up the same size anyway. So I'm glad I sized it down. Otherwise it would have been like a huge art doll to match the size of the eyes. Because like the big cats have really small pupils. Do you have an Etsy? I don't use Etsy anymore, but I've got a website, Creatures of Nat. Have I made a rat? Yeah, I've made heaps of rats. I've made heaps of rabbits, but not an actual hare, but I made heaps of rabbits. I used to use Etsy when I first started, and then they just got super greedy, and I was like, I just use them for advertising now. Yeah, they just got super greedy, and their fees are just astronomical. So I was like, goodbye. It's good for, you know, people that are just starting out and need that traffic. So I've still got my shop, but I've just got like obviously my listings on there, but they're sort of more advertisement than selling it on there. So naughty, but Etsy's naughty too. All right. So just going to smooth this area out, try and keep it pretty neat, because this part you probably will see. Most of it's going to be covered in fur, so I'm not going to be too worried about keeping this super neat. And it's just mainly the eyes, really. All right, so just going to add a tiny bit. How much are the art dolls to make? How much do I sell them for? Or how much does it cost me to make them? I sell them for, I can answer both questions. Melanie, I'll get to you in a minute. I'll answer your question after this one. So I usually sell them anywhere between $480 and $680 US, depending on the complexity of it. And they usually cost between $100 to $200 to make. So the materials are quite expensive, and it takes about 20 to 30 hours to make them, just depending on complexity as well. What kind of clay am I using? This is Sculpting Original. Sorry. Does it hurt the lion? I mean, it looks pretty happy. Good price. Yeah, I know. It's expensive, but that's just is what it is. No, that's why I do offer payment plans, because it makes it a bit easier to grab something. So the eyes I want really stretched out. Thank you for the follow and the likes. All right, now just going to blend the eyelid a little bit. So I'm really more just refining this last little bit of the doll, and then once it's all refined, I'll add the tongue, because I think that's what I want to do. How about commissions? Yeah, I do take commissions. I do make dragons. I've made heaps of dragons in my time. The lion is dope. Thank you. I'm in the process of doing a Japanese dragon. I've always wanted to make one, but have never done it. So I am sculpting. I've sculpted the part of the inside of the mouth. So I think this is going to be a really complex one. So I haven't added the tongue yet. So this will be the inside of it. And then, yeah, I'll sculpt the head and stuff. So got a few techniques I want to try with that doll. But yeah, I used to do a lot of Japanese inspired art dolls as well. So I sort of want to add that back into the mix because, you know, I just like Japanese mythology and all of that. So, yeah, I haven't sort of dropped off that whole thing for a while. Plus, yeah, you know, some people get really weird about me making Japanese mythology things as well. Oh, no problem. Yeah, I do offer payment plans, so I try to make it easy. Can you please create a mold of the mouth? You would love to be able to cast components. I mean, of this one? You mean? I had a lot of people ask if they could use my parts. I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel. Okay, just fix this up here. I'm not going to smooth this out too much. It's going to be covered in fur, so I'm not going to get rid of, you know, all these little pits and stuff. It's going to be covered, so. Oh, thanks. Yes, they are fully posable. I'll show you the lion. They've got a ball and socket armature inside, so you can sort of move the legs around. You can move the head up and down, you know, all sort of that. Tail, obviously. Lion's got balls too. Had to do that. You wouldn't expect it. Thank you, Ari. Oh, thanks. So, yeah, you know, fully posable. So that ball and socket armature looks like this. So this is the smallest one, but I've got 3 different sizes that I use. And yeah, so I try to keep it small because I like using the small size. The bigger you get, the more sort of complex the doll gets and the heavier it is and the more weight it has to carry, and it starts getting a bit tricky sometimes. So I like making small dolls. They just don't always turn out small. All right, so we've got a comparison on the other side. Just going to pull that down a little bit, open the eye a little bit. Da, da, da. So I think I'm going to do the design of this one. So I think I'm going to do it like a little bit of blue on it. You are far more Oh, thank you. Oh, I've been doing it for a long time. It just takes practice. It's just a lot of practice. Practice makes perfect. I think I commented on someone else's post the other day. They're talking about, you know, just practicing, and I just think like practice is so undervalued. I think it really I think that's the only thing that really sort of gets it going, is just taking the time to practice different techniques, different ways of sculpting. So, you know, even after 13 years, I'm still learning. I'm sort of pushing myself a bit more now and doing things out of my comfort zone. You've made a couple of things. You don't have a steady hand. I think it's just practice again. Like, I mean, there might be something else going on, but it's just practice. I always find to help bloody crows, to help with stability, I always find putting my little finger on something really helps. So if I'm sculpting like that, I'll steady my elbows on the desk, hold it like this, and then use my finger to steady, and then I can sort of, that helps with stability. Or I've seen a lot of painters get like this stick that they put over it. You can lean on the stick. Oh, thank you. yeah, you can lean on the stick and that'll help. But yeah, I always find, you know, resting your little finger on something helps with the stability rather than, you know, trying to do it. It's definitely not stable. I still did that. All right. I think it's looking pretty good. It's looking good enough. So if I was going to be painting this, I would definitely refine it a bit more and get rid of all these, you know, little nicks and stuff on it. But you just don't need to. It's just purely a form that's going to be covered. Obviously, you want to clean up around the eye area, make that neat. And it's a good tip. Oh, yeah. No, it's I think it's like a kind of a learned tip as well. Because yeah, and it just sort of becomes habit. So, and if you see like painters and stuff, they're always leaning on something to get that stability there. So I guess it's the same sort of deal when sculpting, or even still, you know, they have it on an armature, so you know you have both hands free. But we don't. That's overkill for this type of thing. All right, I think that's looking pretty even. Here's our little kitty. Here's our kitty so far. Now, for this one, what I'm going to do, if I sort of briefly sculpted a tongue, ta-da! So, yeah, the parents of this one's got his tongue sticking out and he's blue, so I'm just going to sort of sculpt in the little tongue details with my needle tool, like a so. And this one is Sculpey 3, I think it is. And then obviously it's going to be a cat tongue, so you want a little texture on it. So I'm just going to get my needle tool and sort of just flick it up to create those little rough texture on there. Da-da. Too far. And I will have to sculpt the feet for these two. That's like one of my least favorite things. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you for the gift. Hi, Cosmetic Corner. Cosmics Corner, sorry, Cosmetic. Pretty boy, yeah. Watch me make teeth. It's super easy. I can show you. It's really, really easy. So for teeth that turn out like this, I just use translucent Sculpey. So this is my translucent Sculpey. And I'll just put the tongue in. Might actually record that a bit. Sorry. Hopefully there's enough of a gap in there. That's too cute. How did I get that? I'll show you in a sec. I'll just attach this properly. It's such a blep, right? Such a blep. I don't know if it's too big. I think it's a good size. You mix too much white in my translucent Sculpey. Oh, you don't need to mix anything. No, you don't need to mix anything. Right, I think that's in there. Fine. So, okay, so for the teeth. Actually, sorry, I'm just going to put a little hole in there so I don't forget. Like so. Too cute. Oh, too cute. Hello. Hello, Eelman. Can you show the close-up of the seam tongue? Yes. I don't know if you can get the right angle. There we go. It's a good angle. There's a little tongue groove in there. and it's sort of the texture on top. So sometimes less is more. But yeah, let's get rid of that. So that's the next medieval cat. Anyway, the teethies. I'll show you the teeth. Oops. You love that. Here's the teeth. So I haven't added the tongue just yet, but there'll be the dragon teeth. So I sort of curled it, and I just hit this with a heat gun just to sort of pre-bake it, I guess. But yeah, that'll be. I'll add a tongue, and then I'll probably do the rest of the head all in one, and I'll add the top teeth at the same time. But basically, for the teeth, let's get a piece of translucent Sculpey. This one feels a little bit different. Cute danger nom. Yes, it is. I'm trying to keep this small too. If only I saw this video first. Would you tutorial the teeth? I think I have one. I should make like a playlist on my TikTok, but I've definitely got a lot of tutorials on my YouTube on everything. But yeah, so you just condition your translucent Sculpey until it's malleable. And then let's pretend this is like a jaw, right? So the mouth is that shape. I get a ball tool. This will do. And where I want the teeth to go. So I would say we want some canines here. One there, one there. Make some little spots for them. And then it would be awesome if you could. Yeah, I've got heaps of stuff on my YouTube. Heaps. I got like a whole playlist of things, and every doll that I've made, most of the dolls that I've made, I've got a tutorial on how I made them. So yeah, not a lot of people see my YouTube, unfortunately, but I think if you do, I do have a posable jaw tutorial in my shop. It is sculpted though, but I do have a tutorial for that. You haven't been, I mean, it's not necessary. I just find it helps with like a gum line. So you get like my little ball tool, and say I want like 3 teeth at the front there. So that'll be like my gum line. So the red part basically. And then you just grab off. So for the canines, I just do like equal parts of, equal balls. And then I just sort of roll them into a peak with my tips of my fingers. I love how you do it. Oh, thank you. So yeah, into like a tip. I usually grab the bottom and just flatten it out a little bit, give it a roll. You got like a peak sort of thing. And then, so you can put the tooth on there, like so. Get like a little tool and just sort of blend it in at the base. Make sure, take some time to blend it, blah, blah, blah. And so that sort of putting that dimple in sort of insets it into the gum line, if that makes sense. So there's a little canine sort of thing there. And then you get the other one, same deal, roll it, pinch the end of it, roll, flatten the end. And you can it sort of naturally takes a curve, but you can put a curve in it, right? And then put it in the same spot. So you can just place it on there and, blend it in with your needle tool, like so. You can clean it up later. This is only really quickly for tutorial purposes. So then you got the 2 canines. They're not quite, exactly the same size, but 2 canines there. So if you want to do like tiny teeth as well, you can individually roll them, or you can just do like a strip, right? So say you want like grab a little ball and then you'll see exactly what you're doing wrong. Oh, that's good. So you roll it into like kind of a strip, if that makes sense. And then you can sort of place it on where you want the teeth to go. So you got the strip there, right? Then you can just blend it in. So it's like the whole strip. So it's just a strip there. This is for like really tiny teeth. You can do it individually as well, but so you got the strip there, right there. And then you get your tool and you can sort of just carve out little teeth. So we want 3 teeth there, I guess. So, and then can't quite see. It's really hard to pick up on camera, but you know, you just get your little needle tool. You can even use a pin if this needle is too big, but yeah, you can sort of carve it out. You can, you know, give it a point while you're doing it. But I don't know, you can see the little teeth there. So, you know, normally you do like 4 or something, but yeah, there's a little teeth there. And then, you know, for like the molars, like sharp molars, what you can do, so I'll just do like a bigger sort of molar. So I've pinched off a little bit there. And what I do is sort of bring it to a point, flatten it, bring it to a point, like a flat point, like a pyramid type point, and then, you know, put it on the side here, like so, on the side. And then you know how you want like the point, like a big cat sort of teeth. So what I like to do is, so you've got your point. You can even use tweezers if you want more of a point. So, you know, you get your tweezers and you can sort of pinch it a little bit, pinch it there. So you can, you know, get your tweezers to make the point as well. But I like to use my needle tool. So after you've blended it in, obviously, you want to blend it in first. But yeah, you just put, you know, a little line there, a little line there, and then you sort of shape it in a way that you like, make the canine, and then you sort of got that little canine tooth thing there. Yeah, the tweezers work really well. There's like hair and yuck all over this. That's just for like, you know, cosmetic purposes. But yeah, you can see how it's got like the ridges on it now. So that's for, you know, what I do for the back teeth. Sometimes less means more as well. But yeah, that's just like a quick little, I guess, cat mouth tutorial, if that makes sense. Obviously, you spend a bit more time on it. But yeah, so that's a little rundown for y'all. And then we squish it up. Ta-da! There you go. Thank you so much. And that's how you do teeth. All right, so okami. So this is obviously turning out more in my style. Then, yeah. So I think I'm going to add fur over the top of this though, but I just want to start sort of smoothing all this out, making it a bit smoother. I think I'm going to add fur over the top of it. So it blends in with the rest of the doll. So I'm going to smooth it all out first, get it all, you know, looking good. Am I the Therian? No. No. All right, so with this okami as well, I probably don't need to sculpt in the fur details on the side, but I have anyway. So I just want to sort of No, I need this one. Sort of refine this a little bit. And want that, like that. So I particularly like using softer clays a bit more than hard clays. I don't really like using hard clays. It's not my preferred clay. So I use Sculpey Original, which is a very soft clay, just because I like to sort of move things around a little bit, whereas hard clays are more for like building and scraping off, if that makes sense. So yeah, I just prefer just moving things around with my fingers. But I mean, you find your own way of sculpting that you prefer as well. Okay. So I just want to make these into a point. So I use my fingernails a lot too. So they're handy tools. They're handy tools. So I'm just sort of refining these little hair fur crevices, I call them. Smoothing it out, even though I'm pretty sure I'm going to be covering this in fake fur anyway. Oh, thank you for the puppy. Oh, thank you. It's very sweet. Oh, thanks. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I have thought about doing workshops and stuff, but I don't even know how to construct one. I don't know how. This was, oh, thank you. That's good. I have, yeah, been thinking about it. I'm not sure how to go about it. I've had like so many people asking for workshops, and you know, oh no, I broke a nail. I just don't know how to go about it. Like whether I just do sculpting workshop, I don't know, but I feel like I'm not confident enough. I mean, I'm such an introvert. You can build it. Oh, I just don't know. I've never gone to a workshop, so I don't know how it's like, what people do, you know. But, you know, I think, and like if I do it online, like, how do you do it online? Do you do it on Zoom? Google Hangouts, is that still a thing? Google Hangouts. I think it's just Zoom now, isn't it? I don't know. And I'm super awkward. You can set the vibe to attract the crowd. Yeah, no, I might not even get a crowd though. I might not even get anybody. What if that happens? I've set it all up and there's nobody. Nobody comes because my posts on Facebook and social media don't get posted out. Bees and beads. Oh, yeah. Sculpting and snacks. Sculpting and weird sense of humour. Like, I guess you could, like, tell people, you know, sculpt a cat. Come and learn to sculpt a cat. Scoobies. Scoobies. That's it. Sculptures and Scoobies. But yeah, I mean, I've got heaps of stuff on my YouTube and stuff, but YouTube's not great at posting my videos out. It's really terrible, actually. But yeah, so most people don't know there's tutorials up there, which is like every doll that I've made, well, every doll in the last 10 years or something. Doobies. Yeah, I'm in Melbourne. Yeah. In the Melbourne. Yep. And plus, I don't have a lot of time these days either. But, you know, maybe workshops is a way to quit my job. do workshops, weekend workshops, and be free during the week. You had no idea. Yeah, I applied for have you heard of the Oddities and Curiosities Expo that they're having here? I applied for a vendor spot there, but I didn't get it. So, sorry, everybody. I had so many people asking if I had a stall there, and I did try, but they didn't give me a spot. So that's that. I've done Supernova, and I didn't like it. Yeah, they didn't give me. And I applied really early too, and they didn't give me a spot. Nope. So I thought it'd be right up there, Ellie. Oh, super! I'm kind of offended, actually. I'm not gonna lie. I'm offended. No, I didn't get a spot. Nope. I thought, yeah, I'd have no problem, but I'm just assuming that they've had repeat stalls and, you know, yeah, four-letter words. I know I did try. I did Supernova maybe like 6 years ago. Didn't really like the crowd though, so I didn't really enjoy myself. So I probably wouldn't do that again. I think the crowd's just a bit too young to understand, if that makes sense. So I thought I'd give the Oddities one a try, but yeah, didn't get a spot. So they said if you haven't heard back from them in 40 business days, you don't have a spot. So I applied in April, so it's been well over 40 days. So I'm assuming that's it. Done deal. No spot. And I have so many dolls. Looking for homes. So I had so much stock. Something like that. I'll try again next year, see what happens. But I'm assuming they just got like repeat vendors and they're just going to go. Yeah, I mean, it's been way over. I applied in April, so it's been months. I haven't got a spot. No spot. I just have to let it go. I'm like, no, maybe they could still. There's still a chance. No. It's been long enough. That's a done deal, I think. All right, just make another little furry line. But yeah, workshops could be sculpting workshops. I'm not good at sculpting people, so that's my only thing. So I've had like people ask for artdoll workshops, but I wouldn't know how to do that online. If that makes sense. Like I can't cast something or sculpt a couple of pieces for people and put it all together online. If that makes sense. Okay, so this I'm going to make a bit of a trim here. We want to make it smooth and flat. Duh. Is what it is. I was fairly confident though. You're connected to a crew in the US in the haunt community. Oh, do they? That's pretty cool. I've been doing Halloween dolls the last 2 Halloweens, and I never actually did Halloween dolls before, so I didn't mind it. Doing something different. They're always looking for weird props and stuff. Oh yeah. Most of my customers are from the States. Surprise. So but yeah, I guess with their like whole tariff thing, I think I've sent a few recently, but I marked them as a gift so they could possibly get out of the tariffs. So nobody said anything, so I'm hoping that works for them. But yeah. Alright, clean inside here. I'm making a deepish cavity here. Pop, pop, pop. I was actually really looking forward to that convention too. But I was like, at the same time, I've got a 2-year-old as well. So at the same time, I was like, because then like I miss out on a whole weekend, but it's just a weekend, you know. Would have been nice to get rid of some of my stock. Running out of room here. And just like make connections and stuff. He didn't even think of that. Yeah. Alright, let's go put a little bit in here to bulk it out. Smooth it out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I could just do like sculpting workshops, right? What do you talk about? It's a problem. Maybe we should like actually go to a workshop and see what people do. You obviously provide them with materials, I'm assuming. What am I making? I'm sculpting Shiranui from Okami. So I'm just trying to refine it a little bit. So there's a bit of work to do on it. So yeah, just sort of refining a few bits and pieces on it, and then it'll be right to go. I'm working on a few things lately, put it that way. So just making the ears a bit more even. Okay. So I'm just not going to do too much overboard at the moment until I've got majority of this all smoothed out, because I just end up like nicking the ears and stuff anyway. All right. And I'll have to do a bit of work around the eyes as well, just to refine that a bit more. Put a little bit in here. So just bulk this here. Two. And a little bit here. And a little bit here. So I'm just trying to compare it to the other side of the face and make sure I've got it symmetrical. Sometimes you can lose a bit of symmetry. And just around the eye, bulk this out a little bit as well. So sometimes it's always helpful to like put it down and come back to it, and then you can really see you know, what's wrong. I've done that several times before, where I'm just not happy with the way something's looking, and I've just put it down, come back to it the next day, and you can see it's like super easy to spot what's wrong with it. So that is always an option. Yeah. No. Okay, let's just start blending that out. So I use my fingernail to create like the end of the little fur detail up here as well. I like to use my nails. They're handy. You're not wrong. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You just like instantly can see what's wrong with it. What have I done recently? I can't remember what it was that I recently did. It might have been one of the cats that I was doing. Could have been the pooping cat. It's like, yeah, it was the pooping cat. Oh. Ooh. See how it turns out. Gamble. All right. Yeah, just clean this up. Pooping cat is my fave. I think it's my fave too. Not gonna lie. I think I outdid myself with that one. So silly. Okay. So just really gently smooth this bit. We want it nice and smooth. And might add just a tiny bit here. I think the eyes will be the last thing that I check back on. They always end up moving. You go to Mill Park playground and swing on those monkey bars. Oh, nice. It's to my hands. Can't do that anymore. I'm too old now. Okay. All right, so I want this to be really smooth. Yeah, near the airport. Yeah, no, in West. Try not to give too much info out online, just in case. Just in case there's, you know. The lurkers. Nice and smooth. Smoothing always takes the longest to do. Okay. Beauty, mate. So I'll probably extend that a tiny bit with maybe paint. I don't know, we'll see. This one's like super experiment, this doll. Sort of, I can see my style in this particular sculpt. Even though you don't think you have a style, but I can see in particular this style, that it's translated onto this sculpt. All right. Oh, I think we've smoothed that out quite a bit. Thank you for the follow. See, nick it. So I've smoothed, which side? Not a whole, like to the final point of smoothing, but I've smoothed a little bit out here, and I still need to go over it. All right, so yeah, that'll be my Shiranui art doll. So I can see my style, just like in the eyes. I can see it's my style. Anyway, so I'm going to have to leave it there for today, but tomorrow, what have we got? Tomorrow, I will attach the antlers to this fella. So this will be dry by tomorrow. The flying fox hands, they will also be ready to paint. And I'll finish off the eyes for this flying fox tube, and that should be ready to start constructing. What else have we got? I'll probably wait to bake this one. Just clean the eye up here before I forget. While I notice. But, yeah, that's the lighting. So when you come back to it, you see something NQR, and then you go back to doing it, fixing it up. See something that you don't quite like. Anyway, so that's my next medieval cat. Yay! So that one's ready to bake. I'll try and finish this off tomorrow too. And yeah, I think that's the plan for tomorrow. Anyway, YouTube, I will catch you tomorrow. I'll be on the same time, 12:30 till about 2. So I'll catch you tomorrow.